I went to my room and heard her yelling at him for not standing up for her. Then I heard her say something very curious. "Why haven't you kicked her out yet?" He was trying to tell her to lower her voice, whispering, "Later, we can discuss this later." She left, and he came to me, apologizing. He said, "We didn't make love here, if that is what you are scared of. She just dropped by because I was working from home today." I told him that he had until the end of March to move out and to find somewhere to be during the weekends. This morning, I changed all the locks. From now on, he isn't allowed in my place during my working hours. So, if he starts later or finishes earlier, he needs to wait for me to come home and let him in. But his mistress's words stuck with me. So, over the weekend, I have been stalking her social media. I think she believes that he is rich, or at least that he owns my apartment. I think she also thinks that my parents' summer house and boat are his. Unfortunately, the loser has taken her there, probably bragging about his wealth because her hashtags were all about the good life. I was telling my best friend all of this, but she was more agitated than indignant on my behalf. She told me that he was scum for not telling his mistress the truth. I agreed, saying, "I know, right?" But then she said I was no better for not explaining his situation to her either. I was dumbfounded, but she was serious. I told her that it wasn't my job to bring his mistress back to earth. My best friend got very angry and demanded that I give her the mistress's username so that she could warn her. "No," I said. She called me a bigger jerk than he is. I don't know what's going on with these people. Have they gone mad, or have I? When did our moral compass go askew like this? Can someone tell me that I'm not insane? Update: I had a showdown with my former best friend via text and confronted her about her lack of support when I went to her with my woes. I told her that she focused on the wrong issue. She should have been my shoulder to cry on. She should have shown up with wine, ice cream, and a shovel, but instead, she called me a bigger jerk than my husband. She tried to gaslight me, and I realized that she's always been a good gaslighter, so I interrupted her before she made me out to be the villain. I asked her bluntly, "Was your husband married when you started sleeping together? You told us that he was married before we all knew that, but we all were under the impression that he was married and divorced before you two met. But was he still married? Is that why you related to the mistress and felt sympathy for her? Because you were her?" She didn't answer me until the next day to call me a bitter and jealous witch. Wow. This was the last one-on-one interaction with her. I have decided she's been my friend since preschool, but now we need to go our separate ways, not only to save us from future hurt but also to save our memories together from being tarnished. I talked to my husband too and asked him not to make the separation difficult and bitter so that it ruins all the happiness we felt being together. We cannot think back on a third of our lives with resentment. I asked him to take my dad's offer. He offered to help him find a lease on an apartment and pay half a year's rent if he moved out without giving me problems. When I got home, he and his clothes were gone. He left an apology letter saying that he will always love me and never meant to hurt me. So, I have finally been able to cry my eyes out, and it felt so good. I have been crying since I got home. I lost two of my closest people, but this is what happens when we hit hardships, we see people's true faces. This is my update. I don't know if anything major will happen to make more updates. It is time for me to move on.